The silence in Palpatine's chambers was not one of peace, but of profound, shattered reality. With the architect of galactic despair finally undone, a vacuum erupted, vast and terrifying. The war, a meticulously crafted illusion, did not simply cease, it convulsed. Droid armies, leaderless, became aimless, destructive waves. Republic forces, stripped of their hidden command, reeled in disarray, their chain of command a tangled mess of fear and suspicion. The galaxy was not suddenly healed. It was a patient waking from a long nightmarish coma, disoriented and racked with pain. The Grey Watch, now the reluctant inheritors of this chaos, understood that their true work had only just begun. Their mission was never merely to fight. It was to rebuild, to guide the scattered remnants of a deceived galaxy toward a genuine balance. Anakin, alongside Bo and Vus, stepped into this void. Their first act was not one of conquest, but of communication. Using a network of repurposed, once hidden comms arrays, they broadcast a message across all frequencies, to every shattered world, to every disillusioned soldier, to every frightened civilian. It was a message devoid of Jedi dogma or Sith malice. A raw, unvarnished account of Palpatine's manipulation, supported by the evidence Vos's agents had meticulously gathered. It spoke of a force that was not light or dark, but a spectrum, demanding integration, not division. This truth, delivered with the unflinching honesty of those who had walked through the fire, struck a chord deeper than any propaganda. It was the truth many had subconsciously yearned for, but truth, unpalatable and destabilizing, was not welcomed by all. Remnants of both Republic and Separatist loyalists, those whose power or worldview depended on the old order, branded the Grey Watch as the new enemy, a cult of dangerous force wielders. Rogue fleets and ambitious warlords emerged from the shadows, seeking to fill the void, to impose their own warped visions of order. The Grey Watch found themselves battling not just armies, but entrenched ideologies, a galaxy addicted to the comfort of clear-cut enemies and simplistic narratives. Their temples on Moraband and Dathomir became beacons, drawing those who sought genuine understanding, but also targets for those who feared its implications. The challenge was immense. How to foster true peace in a galaxy that only understood war? How to teach balance to beings who had been forced to choose extremes? It demanded patience, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to their core tenets. Anakin, the former chosen one, who had rejected his preordained path, now faced the ultimate test of his self-mastery, not to defeat an enemy, but to lead a galaxy towards healing its own internal divisions. The true war was not over. It had merely shifted from the battlefields of space to the battlegrounds of the mind, where the seeds of true change or ultimate despair would be sown. With the galaxy fractured and reeling, the Grey Watch recognized that simply exposing the truth wasn't enough. They needed to cultivate a new way of being. Their focus shifted from tactical strikes to strategic education, from dismantling old systems to building new foundations. They initiated awakening enclaves across liberated worlds, inviting those disillusioned by the conflict, those who sensed a deeper truth, to learn. These enclaves were radically different from the rigid Jedi academies or the brutal Sith training grounds. Here, individuals were taught to understand the Force not as a tool of a single dogma, but as an inherent part of existence, to be explored, understood, and integrated in all its facets. Bo became the spiritual guide, a living embodiment of true balance. He didn't preach, he demonstrated. He showed them how rage, when understood and disciplined, could become unwavering resolve. How fear, when confronted, could become heightened awareness. His lessons focused on self-mastery through internal harmony, teaching initiates to identify their own inner flame and to understand how it connected to the vast, complex fire of the Force. Under his tutelage, former soldiers learned to channel destructive impulses into acts of creation. Ex-senators learned to discern truth from manipulation, and ordinary citizens discovered an untapped wellspring of intuition and resilience within themselves. Quinlan Vos, with his unparalleled network and understanding of the galaxy's underbelly, spearheaded the Truth Initiative. He established a galactic communication web, bypassing traditional, often corrupted, news sources. This network became a conduit for uncensored information, for stories of local struggles and triumphs, for alternative perspectives that challenged the narratives of the lingering power brokers. He recruited a diverse array of communicators, historians, and empathic sensitives who could perceive the genuine fires of suffering and hope, ensuring that the voice of the common sentience was amplified, not silenced. This wasn't propaganda. It was transparency, a dangerous concept to those who thrived in shadows. Anakin, however, bore the heaviest burden. His name, once synonymous with heroism, then with fear, now carried the weight of galactic transformation. He spent countless hours in deep meditation, not seeking power but clarity. He focused on understanding the psychological wounds of the galaxy, the lingering distrust, the deep-seated fears. He knew that external peace was impossible without internal healing. He met with leaders of disparate factions, not with threats, but with a quiet, undeniable authority rooted in his newfound wisdom. He offered pathways for demilitarization, for resource sharing, for reconciliation, challenging them to see beyond their ancient grievances and embrace the collective future. His presence, a living testament to the possibility of balance, swayed many who had been immovable. Yet, this nascent order was not without its internal struggles. Some initiates, drawn by the promise of untapped power, struggled with the gray. Watch's emphasis on balance, tempted by the siren call of raw, unrestrained force usage. Others, conditioned by years of war, found it difficult to shed their ingrained biases and suspicions. The path was arduous, fraught with the very human frailties the old orders had exploited. But the Grey Watch persevered, knowing that the real victory wasn't in crushing opposition, but in fostering growth, in illuminating the individual fires that, when brought into harmony, could ignite a galaxy anew. Even as the Grey Watch painstakingly sowed the seeds of a new galactic era, the echoes of the past refused to fade. Palpatine, though vanquished, had left behind a pervasive shadow, a psychological residue that clung to the very fabric of society. Decades of manipulation, fear, and division could not be simply wished away. Cults dedicated to his memory, extremist factions clinging to republic or separatist ideals, and opportunistic warlords seeking to carve out their own empires continued to plague the nascent peace. The galaxy was not just physically broken. Its collective psyche was scarred, deeply mistrustful of any centralized authority, even one promising balance. The Grey Watch found themselves constantly battling against the very systems of control they sought to dismantle. News channels, even those seemingly independent, subtly distorted their messages. Bureaucratic hurdles designed to frustrate and exhaust sprang up in their path. Whispers of another power grab, or Sith masquerading as saviors, circulated through the comnets. insidious campaigns designed to undermine their legitimacy. This wasn't a war fought with blasters and lightsabers, but a subtle, constant struggle for the hearts and minds of the galactic populace. The architects of the Old Order, even in defeat, continued to manipulate from the grave. Anakin discovered that his own past, the specter of Darth Vader, was a powerful weapon in this psychological war. Extremists would broadcast doctored hollows of his darkest acts, stirring up fear and prejudice. He could have fought against it, denied it, but instead, he embraced it. He made his own broadcasts, speaking directly to the galaxy, owning his past. Not as a source of shame, but as a stark lesson in the dangers of imbalance and unchecked power. He became a living testament to redemption, a demonstration that even the deepest shadows could be transcended. This radical honesty disarmed many, but solidified the hatred of others. Boho and Vos took on the task of deconstructing the narratives of division. They led teams of Force sensitives and historians to unearth ancient texts, forgotten philosophies, and suppressed records that showed a galactic history far more nuanced than the black and white dailies propagated by the Jedi and Sith. They revealed how conflicts had been engineered, how cultural differences had been weaponized, how genuine attempts at cooperation had been sabotaged by unseen hands. This historical reclamation was painful, tearing down beloved myths, but it was essential to truly heal. It was the only way to prevent the galaxy from falling into the same traps again. The true test of the Grey Watch's vision was not in their power, but in their ability to inspire. Could they foster a galaxy that chose balance rather than having it imposed upon them? Could they help individual worlds, individual beings find their own internal harmony? The shadows of the past were long and tenacious, but the Grey Watch believed that the collective flame of an awakened galaxy, though still flickering, would ultimately burn brighter than any engineered darkness. Their journey was far from over. It was a perpetual vigil against the insidious forces of control, a constant reminder that freedom was not a gift, but an eternal, vigilant choice.